offering humble salutations at the lotus feet of the Jagadguru. I am attempting to speak on the life of Jagadguru Sri Adi Sankaracharya. I am planning this talk in 5 parts. There is a tradition of celebrating the Shankara Jayanti, that is the birthday of the Jagadguru Adi Sankaracharya, which falls on the 5th day of the bright fortnight of the Vaishakha month, the Vaishakha Shukla Panchami, every year. So there is a tradition that this is celebrated for 5 years in offering our gratitude and celebrating the life of the Jagadguru, who essentially revived the Sanatana Dharma. So therefore, this is my humble attempt to do so in 5 parts. The 5 parts I have staggered it. In the first part, I will be only talking about the background of the whole advent of the Jagadguru. As part of the basis that I have taken to do this, to share this life of Jagadguru, I have chosen the Shankara Digvijayam written by Acharya Vidyaranya. Acharya Vidyaranya is the 12th pontiff of the Sringeri Matha. He headed the Sringeri Matha from the Dakshinamnaya Sringeri Pitham from the year 1380 to 1386, a brief period of 6 years. However, his life is it's a stunning life that is deeply scholarly, and it spans more than hundreds of original works that have in which he has written commentary on all the 4 Vedas, and he has written a number of kavyams, and the work that he has written, that is known as the Madhaviya Shankara Digvijayam, ranks among the best of his contributions. And we will be taking the Madhaviya Shankara Digvijayam as the basis to understand a little bit of the glorious life of Jagadguru Adi Sankaracharya. Now, before coming there, I would like to take some time and provide you the background. We won't straight away jump into the life of Adi Shankara as described in the Madhaviya Shankara Digvijayam. Rather, we will build it up. We will think about what is the background in which this happened, what are the contributions of Shankara, and why we should actually understand his life. Okay. So this is an attempt to propagate the life of Shankara, which is probably largely not known among a lot of people. A large part of our Vangmaya, we usually push it across in the name of, we call it mythology. The connotation itself is very poor, because myth is something that may not have happened. Okay, myth is a myth. So when we call it mythology, very subconsciously we are sending the message that this didn't happen, but it is something that has been written. That's a beautiful writing, so you should read about it. So that is the general subconscious the message that we send to people when we call something as mythology. And it is very unfortunate that we call our itihasas like Ramayana and Mahabharata as mythology, thereby suggesting that they actually didn't take place, that they were myths, and we are just trying to make a reality out of it. The reason I am saying this is, even if you grant that they were mythology, the life of Shankara has a lot of historicity to it, lot of evidence to that. Even in the history books of these days, we do find a passing mention of Jagadguru Adi Sankara. However, I think gross injustice has been done to the great personality for the lasting and enormous contribution that he has done to the land of Bharat. I say this because Shankara, in his time, when he appeared, the Sanatana Dharma, the Vedika Dharma itself, was very fragmented. As you probably know, the Sanatana Dharma is very pluralistic in nature. Being very pluralistic, it sees God in all the beings, and it gives a multitude of ways of worshipping God. Being so, it is open to a lot of different interpretations. As per, it is just like there is a flowing Ganga, and as per the amount of as per your patrata, what it means is, as per the size of the vessel that you carry, you take either a glass full of water, or a bucket full of water, or a tank full of water. So, being pluralistic in nature, the Sanatana Dharma offers it to a number of different interpretations as per how much this person actually knows, or how much the person has studied. Now, over the period of time, these interpretations start getting accepted by somebody very famous in some walk of life. Let us say he interprets in a certain way, and he goes on to explain the Sanatana Dharma, that facet of Dharma, in a particular way. His followers take that to be the truth, and they follow it like that. And there is no problem with that, as long as the originality of it is acknowledged. However, what happens is that this is truth over time degenerates to this is the only truth. Okay, so that is when conflict comes. And in the Sanatana Dharma itself, which more popularly these days we call the Hindu Dharma, but its original name is the Sanatana Dharma, the eternal Dharma, that is. The Sanatana Dharma itself was actually, it had given rise to a lot of factions. There were Kapalikas, there were Shakteyas, there were Ganapatyas, and it is said there were about 72 different sects which fought with each other, claiming supremacy and saying that theirs is the only way. So that was the time, and it was high time that there appeared a divine force that actually united these different sects. That was Adi Shankara, and that is the lasting effect of Adi Shankara, because I will come to the historicity of Shankara himself. But after more than 1,000 years, the Sanatana Dharma has a very broad base in which all these factions have got their due place, and they identify themselves with the flowing Ganga, so which is the Sanatana Dharma. So that is actually, and Shankara did this without wielding sword. He was an ascetic. He was a sannyasi. So he actually went from one claimant to the other, and he just offered that let's debate. So Vada. So let's debate. So once and the precondition of the debate was that whoever wins in the debate, becomes the master of the one who could not win in the debate. Okay. So it was not to inflict insult on the person, but it is just an acceptance that uh, you know the winner of this particular debate has a great point, and therefore he needs to be followed. And that is how Shankara went from claimant to claimant and debated with them. And in the Vada, he actually defeated all of them, and he took them in his way. So we will see later, maybe a couple of days later, how wonderfully, what a wonderful strategy it is that Shankara went from one person to the other, and to the various schools of thought and the various claimants of supremacy, and how he actually integrated all of them. That is actually a master strategy, because I am sure many of you know that Shankara lived all of 32 years on this planet. Okay, and in 32 years, what he has achieved is something that cannot be achieved in hundreds of years for mere mortals. Okay, therefore it at the same time it fills one with awe, because it is a historical fact that he lived for 32 years, and he was actually there, and he did establish a lot of the Sanatana Dharma as we see it today, as we practice it today. So therefore, um, it is a matter of celebration and also a great awe that it actually happened, and therefore we must know. And also the sign of our times is that we have become extremely thin-skinned, and we are almost in the stage where we do say my way or highway, and it is actually time to come back to the Vada aspect, okay, and offer this to the world as a means to end conflicts. Okay, so with that greater construct in mind, I would like to say that this was the background under which Adi Shankara actually appeared on the planet. As for the historicity of Adi Shankara, there are different claims, but the what we know as per the in fact Adi Shankara established four peethams. They are called the Amnaya peethams. So he established the Purvamnaya peetham in Puri, Jagannath Puri, Dakshinamnaya peetham in Sringeri, Paschimamnaya peetham in Dwarka, and Uttaramnaya peetham in Badri. So these four Amnaya peethams were actually established to cater to the four Vedas, and to safeguard the tradition that runs in those four Vedas. And among them, the Dakshinamnaya Sringeri Peetham, of which Acharya Vidyaranya, whose work we are going to study, was a pontiff, records his birth as around 850 AD or so, 848 AD or so. That is as per the current the Common Era calendar. He appeared around 848 AD. The other Peetham, like I'm sure the famous Kanchi Peetham and Sringeri Peetham differ on this account, whereas Kanchi Peetham is called the Moolamnaya Peetham, and they assign the historicity of Shankara to around 2500 years. We don't know the truth, okay? We don't know the exact appearance of Shankara when it happened in the Common Era. However, we are pretty sure that it happened, and the Shankara Digvijaya written by Acharya Vidyaranya is not the only Shankara Digvijaya. In fact, the first Digvijaya itself was written by Sureshwaracharya, who was the direct disciple of Adi Shankara. So therefore, when it exactly happened, we don't know, but we know for sure that it happened, and it has a great message for us. Now, we will park it there for a moment, and then we come to why we call it the Vedic civilization. Okay. We don't call it Vedic civilization because we do follow Vedas today also. Okay. We do follow in parts, of course. Vedas are followed even today to a great extent. However, we may not see much of a Vedic way of life, but this still is a Vedic civilization. Why I will submit this in a particular manner. What is actually proclaimed by Veda as the means of doing something in life. For example, Veda prescribes a lot of rituals, okay, sacrifices, yajnas, in order to get what man wants, okay, for a good life on this planet. Because without leading a good life on this planet, nobody can actually aspire for the higher goal of life, which is actually the liberation. So that is the tenets, that is the premise under which the Sanatana Dharma operates. You need to have these purusharthas in place, which is the dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So where dharma is the dharma that we follow or a man has to follow. Artha is the means to follow that particular dharma. Kama is achieving certain things in life that are actually prescribed of man, and moksha is ultimately transcending all these three and attaining liberation and becoming free, basically. So this is actually something that is proclaimed by Vedas, and the various concepts and the rituals that Veda actually prescribes can be found in the subsequent itihasas or Puranas. So, for example, if Veda says you do the Ashwamedha sacrifice in this way, you will see instances of that, say, in Ramayana. You will find instances of that in the Puranas which have come subsequently, okay, or in Mahabharata. So, what it means is that the subsequent Puranas, itihasas, and other Vangmayas, even you go as far as the folk traditions, the folk traditions, all of them, they actually connect back to the Vedic, to what the Veda has preached. So as I said a while ago, like depending upon what kind of a vessel you have, what is the size of the vessel you have, that much water we take. And no matter whether we take a spoonful or a glassful or a bucketful, the holy Ganga is the holy Ganga. So therefore, the message of Veda actually permeates through the itihasas, Puranas, all the way until the folk tradition. I will quickly give you one example. The Ashwamedha, if you look at the Taittiriya Yajurveda Brahmanam, in the Ashwamedha, there comes a certain portion, the Ashwamedha Yajna, there comes a certain portion in which the king is actually performing this, who is performing this Ashwamedha, is standing along with the horse. And in any yajna, there are actually four type of priests who officiate that, who take part, who ensure that the yajna happens properly. They are known as the Ritviks, the Brahmanas, the Hotas, and the Udgatas. Okay, so these four people have very specified roles. Okay, and in the Ashwamedha Brahmanam, a portion comes, and I will read it. Chatvara artvijas samukshanti abhya evainam chatasribhyo digbyo visamirayanti shatena rajaputrai sahadharyuhu purastad pratyangtishtan prakshati anenashvena medhye neštva ayagam raja vrutram vadhyaditi rajyam va advaryuhu kshatragam rajaputraha rajye naivasmin kshatram dadhati shatena rajabhis rugrais saha brahma dakshinapa udantishtan prakshati anenashvena medhye neštva ayagam raja pratidrishyo ostviti. This particular mantra, as I said, the king is standing along with the Ashwa, and what this mantra says is, this class of priests called the Ritviks, they are actually standing in front of the king. Okay, they are standing on the eastern side of the king. Okay, and they are actually sprinkling water on this king and the ashwa, which is to the west of them. Okay, and then it actually says it turns to the southern side. On the southern side, the Brahma, okay, the Brahma is standing along with his group of people, and he is sprinkling water on the ashwa, on the horse and the king, who are on the northern side of him. Okay, so similarly, the Udgata, okay, Udgata is on the northern side, and the Hota is actually on the western side. Okay, so this is what is actually mentioned in the Taittiriya Yajurveda. Okay, so now why I am actually mentioning this? If you come to centuries later, the Vedas are Apaurashayas, we don't know when they actually came, so they definitely predate everything else. Now, you fast forward to many centuries or millennia later, when the Ramayana happened. So when the Ramayana happened, Dasharatha is actually performed the Putra Kameshti because he is desirous of getting his progeny for the Ikshvaku clan. And when he is performing the Putra Kameshti Yajna, before the Putra Kameshti Yajna, he performs the Ashwamedha. And after performing the Ashwamedha, Maharshi Valmiki says there, Prachim hotre dadau raja dishan swakulavardhanaha adharyave pratichintu brahmane dakshinan disham udgatre vaitathodichin dakshinesha vinirmita hayamedhe mahayajne swayam bhuvihite pura. He says that. Okay. So it actually clearly says the king gave the western direction to the Hotas. So we said a while ago, referring to the Ashwamedha, that the Hotas actually stood on the western direction. Okay, and the Advaryus, okay, Advaryus were standing on the eastern direction. The Brahma was standing on the Dakshina, on the southern direction. And similarly, the Udgata was actually standing on the northern direction. So, what Dasharatha said is that as a Dakshina of this Ashwamedha that you have helped me to perform, I offer this land to you. And he says, he turns to the Brahma and says, all the southern direction is yours. And he turns to the Udgata and says, all the northern direction is yours. So similarly, he actually turns to the other two. So he gives what I'm trying to say here is that those directions that you find exactly as it is given in the Taittiriya Yajurveda, the exact directions you find here in description in the Valmiki Ramayana. What I have tried to show here is but a very, very small example. Okay. Of how the flow of the conserved knowledge flows from the Vedas to the Itihasas to the Puranas, all the way until the folk traditions. So therefore, even if you see a very, very native folk tradition, we only have to do the research and check with an open mind and know enough. We will be able to find out a connection to the to what the Veda has said. Okay, so therefore, if we can't find, it is not to say that it is not there. Okay, so therefore, as much as we don't see much of the Vedic sacrifices or the Vedic rituals all around us these days, to say that it is not a Vedic civilization is not correct, because the source, the fountainhead of our civilization is contained in the Vedas, and that is why the Vedas have to be honored. Now, so much for that. We'll come back to the Shankara Digvijaya, and in the Shankara Digvijaya, it is pertinent to speak a little bit on Acharya Vidyaranya. Acharya Vidyaranya's life is a tremendous life. Okay, as I said, there are more than 100 works to his credit. That includes the bhashyas. Even today, what people refer are actually bhashyas written by Vidyaranya. So before he actually took the sannyasa order, he was known by the name Madhava. They were actually two brothers. The first brother is called he goes by the name Shayanacharya, and the second brother is Madhavacharya. Okay, so Shayana and Madhava, they were natives somewhere of Andhra Pradesh, the current day maybe around the Warangal area, and both of them were very learned. Okay, and even in their previous ashram, that is the grihastha ashram, or I don't know if we don't know if they were actually married, but in their previous ashram, before taking the monastic order, before taking the sannyasa itself, they had done a number of different bhashyas. Okay, because in Veda and all, in Veda you generally come across these terms sayana bhashyam. Okay, bhashya is a commentary. So so therefore both of them were actually tremendous brothers, extremely scholarly, and they had contributed a lot. Of them, the younger brother, Madhava was the elder brother, and Shayana was the younger brother. Shayana actually first went to Sringeri, and in Sringeri at that time there existed a great Jivan Mukta called Sri Vidyatirtha Swami. Vidyatirtha Swami. So in his name, he is supposed to have manifested Lord Shankara. So in his name, he was a great devotee of Lord Shiva. So in his name, today also you see in Sringeri the Vidya Shankara temple in Sringeri. So which is actually built in the Vijayanagara architecture style. So the younger brother Shayana first went and he took sannyasa without even telling Madhava about it. He went to Vidyatirtha and he actually took sannyasa from Vidyatirtha, and he served as the 11th head of the Sringeri Peetham. And under the name Sri Vidyatirtha. It is much later that actually he served under the name Sri Bharati Tirtha. Okay, Vidya Tirtha was Vidya Shankara, and Sri Bharati Tirtha was actually previously he went by the name Shayanacharya. Much later, Madhava went in search of his brother, and he found that he has taken sannyasa, and at that time Sri Bharati Tirtha Swamiji he deputed him, because the Vijayanagara Empire was actually facing a lot of hostility from the Islamic invaders. So that time Sri Vidyaranya, okay, Madhava Vidyaranya, he went and camped in Hampi, and he helped the Harihara Raya and Bukkaraya, the brothers, to actually establish the kingdom of the Karnataka kingdom, basically. So today also you will see in the Birudavali, while hailing the Sringeri Acharyas, they are actually hailed as Karnataka Simhasana Sanstapana Acharya. Okay, so that is the history of Madhavacharya and Shayanacharya, who respectively took the names of Sri Vidyaranya and Sri Bharati Tirtha. So of these, as I said, Sri Bharati Tirtha was the 12th pontiff, and Sri Vidya was the 11th pontiff, and Sri Vidyaranya was the 12th pontiff. Now, what is the importance of this lineage? So this lineage is something. Is it very different? So how do we put it in context of the gods that we know? Okay. There is a very important shlokam which goes like this, that says Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. What the shloka says is, the Guru Parampara, the tradition of Guru, goes back to Lord Shiva. Okay, Lord Shiva is the first Guru. So there is this Deva Parampara in which Shiva is the first Guru, then comes Vishnu, then comes Brahma. After Brahma, it is the Rishi Parampara. Brahma's son is Vasishtha. Vasishta's son is Shakti. Shakti's son is Parashara. Parashara's son is Vyasa. Vyasa's son is Shuka. So until here there is the Rishi Parampara. From Shuka, his Sishya is actually, the Acharya Parampara starts. His Sishya is Gaudapada. Gaudapada's Sishya is Govinda Bhagavatpada. Govinda Bhagavatpada's Sishya is Jagadguru Sri Shankara Bhagavatpada, or what whom we famously know as Jagadguru Adi Sankara. So from Shankara Bhagavatpada, of course, in the Sringeri Guru Parampara, you have Sri Shureshwaracharya, then you have Nitya Bodhagana, then you have Jnanagana, like that. There is an unbroken lineage of gurus who have been serving as the chief of the Sringeri Matham, Sringeri Pitham, the Dakshinamaya Sringeri Pitham, and taking forward the tradition of the Vedic knowledge by safeguarding it. So, like that, we have currently the 36th Jagadguru is His Holiness Sri Bharati Tirtha Swami, and his successor designate Uttaradhikari is Jagadguru Sri Vidhushekara Bharati Swami. So like that, this is the Guru Parampara that is coming across in all the four Pithams that Adi Shankara has actually established for the furtherance, for the sustenance of the four Vedas. Similarly, you will find the unbroken Guru Parampara coming on in the Kanchi Matham also. Okay, even if their chronology is different, the historicity they ascribe to is different. Even so, you actually find an unbroken Guru Parampara. They have almost, I think, about 70 Acharyas so far in that Parampara. So that is the background of the author of our epic, Sri Vidyaranya Swami, who played a founding role in the establishment of the Vijayanagar Empire, and so that way he is an Acharya who has directly influenced the society by. Okay. So with this we actually come with this rather elaborate background, I think, which was necessary. We come to the background of the epic itself, which is the Shankara Digvijaya, and the Shankara Digvijaya starts with Madhavya Shankara Digvijaya starts with an reflects upon why there is a need for one more Digvijaya when there are so many Digvijayas. Okay, and he takes a very modest view of himself. He says he might be subjected to severe criticism of how limited either his vocabulary is or his expression is in describing the the glory of the Guru. I find that modesty to be somewhat misplaced, because even though I am a very very recent student of Sanskrit and I have read very very little, I can still say with a certain degree of certainty that it is one of the most difficult works to understand. Okay, in terms of the type of words that he has used, in terms of the sandhis samasas that he has used, or in terms of the meters that he has actually employed to write it. Be that as it may, but the first chapter of the Shankara Digvijaya is actually called the Upodghata, or the introduction. And in the introduction, after describing, wondering about why he should write one more Digvijaya, and then coming up with reasons as to why he should write one more Digvijaya, Acharya Vidyaranya actually gets to the point, and he provides the background of the advent of the conditions under which the advent of Jagadguru Adi Sankaracharya happened. So it so happens that gods go to Lord Shiva, who was in the Kailasha. Presently, Lord Shiva was in a very good mood. That's what Acharya tells us. And the gods mustered their courage and told him. They told him, "Oh Lord, actually, Janardana, Vishnu took birth in his eighth avatar as Buddha. Okay? And after he took birth as Buddha, he preached certain philosophies, okay, which go against the founding principles of Vedam. Like the Shunyavada, like Sarvam Dukkham, Sarvam Kshanikam, okay, so those kind of things that go against the philosophy of Veda. And people have taken a great liking to it, okay. And when by taking a great liking to it, what has happened is that because the teachings essentially absorbed ritualism, okay, and ritualism was essential for the practice of Veda, and also to lead a Vedic way of life. And once people took interest in this kind of Shunyavada or some kind of a Nastikvada, they stopped worshipping their forefathers, the Pitru Devatas. They stopped the practice of Vedas. They even stopped their Sandhya Vandana. And they went around interpreting Veda in the way they liked. Because it is very easy to fall from the path. Okay, it is very difficult to hold on to the path because you need to hold it all the time. But to fall from the path, it doesn't take a lot of effort. So what happened? These guys actually fell off that particular path. Okay, and they were abusing Vedas. So this caused a lot of distress to the gods. As you know, the Vedas are essential to carry out the yajnas. The yajnas are essential for the clouds to form. The clouds are essential for the rains to come down, and the rains are essential for the crop, and the crop is essential for human life. So therefore, if you cut the root of Veda, the entire tree of life actually becomes dry, goes dry. So therefore, in order to safeguard that, the gods went to Lord Shiva and then they prayed that you should do something and bring back the appeal of Veda back to life, okay, so that people are ready to follow it. So then Shiva says, of course, I will go to the earth in the form of an ascetic, okay, bearing the name Shankara, and I shall bring Vedas back back to their glory. So that's what Shankara tells and the gods, and they go away. And then he immediately looks at his son Kumara, okay, the Kumaraswamy or Subramanya, and he looks at Kumaraswamy, Subramanya, and says, "Hey, Skanda, you go listen to my words. You go to the earth and you establish the karma kanda, okay, the ritualistic part of Vedas, okay. You go and establish that on the earth, and after you have done that very well, I shall incarnate on the earth." So that's what Lord Shiva, he looked at Subramanya and he gave him that order. He said, "Sure, I shall do so." And Lord Shiva looked at Lord Indra and said, "You shall go and become the king. You should become the king. I think by name Sudhanva. So you should rule over the Aryavarta, and you should lay in wait for Subramanya, for Skanda to come by your way." Then he said, "Sure, I shall do so." And so it happened that on the earth was born Lord Subramanya as Kumarila Bhatta. So he is known as Bhattapada also. So he is known as Kumarila Bhatta. And the Lord Indra, he actually was born as King Sudhanva. So the Nastikavadis were actually on a rampage. So the way they operated is they go to the king and take captivity of the king. The seize his mind basically, not captivity. It's not a physical captivity, but appeal to the king about the Nastikavada, about the atheism. And then once the king falls in their trap, he ensures that in his kingdom everybody follows atheism and nothing else. So these guys went to influential people like this, and then they propagated the atheism, and they abused the Vedas. King Sudhanva was no exception. So he also was in the captivity of these. Then Kumarila Bhatta, having studied the Vedas very well and preaching it extraordinarily well, one day he goes. In fact, he infiltrated into the camp of these atheists. Okay, Kumarila Bhatta, in their guise, to understand, because in all the Vadas, in the debates, there is something called Purva Paksha. Purva Paksha means what is the argument that is presented here. You first need to know the argument that is presented here in order to do debate. Okay, without knowing what is the argument presented there, it is not possible to debate against it or for it also. So therefore, he wanted to know what is the point that these guys are actually proposing, the atheists or the Buddhists. What is it that they are proposing? And he wanted to understand it well. And so it so happened that he infiltrated into their group, in their guise, and tried to understand what they were actually proposing. And in one day in the camp, it so happened these people were abusing Vedas in a very terrible way, and he just couldn't control himself, and tears rolled down his cheeks, because he has been practicing Vedas all his life. So these people actually find out that he has infiltrated into their camp, and they take him and they throw him down a hill, a cliff basically. Okay, and as he falls, Kumarila Bhatta, he actually says, if Vedas are indeed the pramana, or they're true, then may I be saved. It is said that Kumarila Bhatt, he lands on the ground with only one eye, sustaining an injury. And it is said that because he said if Vedas, he used the word if. So that actually suggested a little bit of shanka or doubt in him, that okay, if Vedas are, he should have said since Vedas are pramana, I should be saved. But he said if Vedas are pramana. That's how it is said. Although that's not something which finds place in the current Madhurya Shankara Digvijaya, that it is said like that. So and that's how Kumarila Bhatta is saved. And then presently he goes to the court of the King Sudhanva, and in the court of King Sudhanva, he actually he sees that the king is surrounded by all the atheists who are brainwashing him. He actually looks at a nearby tree where a cuckoo is sitting surrounded by crows. And as if he is addressing the cuckoo, he tells the king that, hey cuckoo, if only you are not surrounded by these crows, your voice would be very beautifully heard. The Shruti, he uses the word Shruti for Veda. Okay, so the Shruti will be very beautifully heard. So these atheists actually understand that he is actually pointing to them and he is calling them crows. And so they say, okay, if you dare call us like that, why don't you come to a debate with us? Why don't you come to a Vada with us? Okay. And the king now, because it is a very decisive battle, because it's happening in the king's court, and by decree, the king says that whoever wins this Vada should actually follow the other person. And so all the atheists, they get into a Vada with Kumarila Bhatta, and needless to say, they are soundly defeated in the debate. Once they are defeated, so what should we do? What is the punishment? Then Kumarila Bhatta says, we both should go and jump off the cliff, and whoever stays unharmed wins this round. Then they chicken out. Okay, so Kumarila Bhatta actually goes to the cliff, and he jumps off the cliff a second time now. And it is said, api lokaguru shaila tulapinda iva patat. So they say that Acharya Vidyaranya says, the guru, okay, the preceptor, who is Kumarila Bhatta, he falls from that cliff like a lump of cotton, okay, like he has a very soft landing, and nothing happens to him. And the king is looking at these atheists at a lot of suspicion, saying, "Oh, you guys have lost." And the atheists say, "No, no, no. There are certain spells under which, if you do, no harm will come to your body." And he has employed one of that. So it is not something that can be taken as a final verdict. So okay, then the king says, "Okay, one more test, and whoever fails this shall follow the other." So he actually secretly gets a pot, and he puts a cobra in the pot, and he covers the pot. And he tells both parties, and when actually Acharya Kumarila Bhatta has such a soft landing, all the practitioners of Veda, they feel emboldened. Okay, they say that, hey, look, one of us has actually done the impossible, and so he has actually, we shall all go to, go and fight along with him, because he's alone taking on all these atheists. So we should actually go and fight along with him. So they all come to him. Now they say that, okay, now the king has put a new test, saying what is inside this particular pot, the earthen pot. So they both of them say that, okay, give us a day. Okay, tomorrow morning we'll reassemble and we'll tell you what is inside the pot. So both of them go away. The atheists somehow find out that there is a snake. These Brahmins who came to battle along with Kumarila Bhatta, all of them, they come to a conclusion, and the conclusion is this: as per the Vedas, the eternal witness of the entire world is the sun god, the Surya, and he knows everything. He can shed light on everything. So therefore, it is pertinent that we who are the followers of Veda should pray to the sun god. So they go to the river, and they stay and they stand under waters until their neck, and they do japa of Lord Surya all night. And in the morning, to be sure, Lord Surya appears before them. He manifests before them, and he says, inside the pot there is Sheshasai. So there is a serpent on which Lord Vishnu is actually reclining. And these people say, very nice, and then both of them go back to the court. So the king asks the atheists, what is there? Okay, they say there is a serpent. So he asks these guys, what is there? They actually say, there is Lord Mahavishnu who is sleeping on the serpent. There is an idol of Lord Mahavishnu, golden idol. That's what they say. So the king feels very bad that, okay, these guys are going to lose this round, which is a very decisive round. But when they actually open the lid, there appears an idol, a golden idol of Sheshasai, just as Lord Surya has actually told them. So then the king actually says, he decrees that the atheists follow this. Whoever doesn't follow, he banishes them from the kingdom. Okay, and that is how Kumarila Bhatta actually established in the kingdom of Sudhanva, which spanned over the Aryavarta, the Vedic way of life one more time. Okay, so now he had made the land fertile for the Advent actually. Okay, so that is the background under which the advent of Lord Shiva as Lord Shankara or Acharya Shankara happens. So today we stop here when Kumarila Bhatta has made the land fertile. He has actually brought back a very important aspect of Vedas, which is the Karma Kanda, back to life right here. And we shall see how that helps in later part, when Shankara encounters him for a vada. Okay? So at this point we will pause, and tomorrow we will go to the the birth of Lord Shiva as Jagadguru Adi Sankaracharya, along with four of his very important disciples. And in fact, the gods take the forms of other disciples also. So there is a fair bit of description of how Mandana Mishra comes, Sureshwara, who is later Sureshwaracharya, how goddess Saraswati herself takes birth. All that we will look at that in tomorrow's episode. So tomorrow we will cover the boyhood of Shankara, along with the how his other disciples also appeared. So until then, we'll stop it here. Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu.